Shalom. This is your brother Tazaya Amar of GMS Valdosta, Georgia, coming out with another weekly lesson. And I pray that it be informative as well as edifying. But first, we want to give all praises and glorifications to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rikakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, the great millstone, GMS, for teaching us the true knowledge of these scriptures. I want to say Shalom, Wa Ahab, to all the Akwans and Akwas that are striving and thriving in the same true doctrine. Shalom. Today's lesson is based upon the traditions of men. You know, we just came up out of a tradition of men's known as Thanksgiving. What a title for an event that had nothing to do with being thankful, but just murdering, genocide, and all the atrocities that go along with that. And the scriptures plainly tell us that, hey, the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Avishai has nothing to do with those days. You know, they are pagan holidays. You know, they are traditions of men's man-made holidays. Man-made holidays. They had nothing to do with being holy. And with that being said, my first scripture is going to be the book of Amos, chapter 5, starting at verse 21. I hate, this is coming out of the Most High mouth, to all you Christians that say that the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Avishai doesn't hate. Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assembly. That means the Most High has nothing to do with those pagan holidays. You know, you can pray and call yourself blessing these abominable foods that you're eating, the wickedness that goes along with these days, all you want to. The Most High is not here. He didn't sanction those days, these pagan ass holidays. He has nothing to do with those. And he distinctly say, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assembly. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. He has nothing to do with those holidays, so-called holidays. Neither will I regard the peace offering or your fat beasts. Imagine that. So you can offer all the prayers you want to, all the so-called blessings to justify these wicked occasions and all the wicked food that you are eating. Crabs, lobster, shrimps, swine, catfish, calamari, coons, squirrels, rabbits. All of those are abomination, whether you believe it or not. So, as I said earlier, you can pray and offer up all the blessings over these abominable things and eat it thinking you're in good case. Good luck with that. The Most High say he have nothing to do with that. Amos chapter 5 verse 23. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs. All these, you got these Christmas carols coming up. Now that so-called Thanksgiving is over with, now you got this so-called holiday called Christmas, which is another abominable holiday. Has nothing to do with the Most High. Has nothing to do with Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus. Has nothing to do with his birthday. The scripture clearly states that, hey, Yahushua was born in the spring of the year. So how is his birthday in December? Another false entity that is the tradition of men. Once again, the book of Amos chapter 5 verse 23. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, all those Christmas carols, for I will not hear the melody of thy vows. And hey, I've heard those Christmas songs so much and so many times until, hey, they have no melody. They're a nuisance. And anybody in the truth know exactly what I'm talking about. And with that being said, let me go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 10, starting at verse 2. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. What that sound like? The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. That's the, put no trees in your house. You go out in the forest or you go to your department store and you buy one artificial or whether real, and you pretty much worship it. You deck it with silver, which is those ornaments, and with gold. You fasten it with nails so it's sturdy, that it move not, which is ironic that it move not. Here you bowing down to a God as you put your present up under the tree. You bow down to it, and it's a God that can't move, can't talk, can't do anything for you. Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 5. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must need be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it them to do good. What's one of those Christmas songs? You better be good. And I'm telling you why. Because a devil in a red suit is coming to town. And as the scriptures say, be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. So now, hey, that little deity that you people like to worship calls Santa Claus, okay, keep waiting on him to come from the North Pole with 12 reindeers in a sled and to come down your chimney bearing gifts. I tell you what, if a fat white man come down your chimney in the dead of the night with a sack on his back, trust me, you getting ready to go into a FEMA camp. And the only gift he gonna come bearing is probably an AR-15 or some other deadly weapon. Damn sure ain't gonna be no ice cream, cookies and candies, gingerbread. Gingerbread means gingerbread boys. No. It's gonna be hell and more hell. Trust me on that. And with that being said, without further ado, the book of Mark, chapter 7, starting at verse 8. For laying aside the commands of the Most High, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such like things ye do. All these traditions of men, you know, fashioning a tree in your house, decking it with silver and gold, cooking up a whole bunch of food in reverence to the rape, robbery, and murder of the Native American Indians, so-called Indians. They are Israelites. Going broke, buying gifts that you can't afford, and that you are stuck on this one day that's gonna take you another year to finish paying for. How stupid is that? But hey, traditions of man. The book of Colossians, chapter 2, starting at verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. You know, during this time of the year, the media, you know, your local television stations, everybody, you know, your local business, they got all these decorations, and they got all these last minute sales, Black Friday, such as Black Friday sales, 2 weeks before Christmas sale, and you know, they just got a whole bunch of deceit and snares out there for you to pretty much rob you, get your money out your pocket. And as the scripture said, Colossians chapter 2 verse 8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men. And that's all what it's all about. It's all about the tradition of men. They have bamboozled you into a situation where you feel obligated to spend your last quarter, your last nickel, your last dime, your last penny on a situation that has nothing to do with the Most High nor His Son, Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. Colossians chapter 2 verse 9, for in Him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead body. You know, as the scripture says, vain to see after the tradition of men, after the rudiment of the world, and not after Hamashiach, Yahushua. For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead body. But, as I said earlier, by vain philosophy and vain deceit, the enemy has convinced you that, it's pretty much mandatory to spend your last nickel, your last penny, your last dime, on a holiday, pagan holiday that had nothing to do with Yahweh or Yahushua. So when are we going to wake up to the fact that, hey, these vain holidays have nothing to do with us, more or less Yahweh or Yahushua? And with that, I'm going to close out with the book of 1 John. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And all these things, all these pagan ass holidays, these worldly events, they have nothing to do with Yahweh or Yahushua. But we have been conditioned by the tradition of men to participate in these pagans as holidays, which goes against the scriptures, which go against the word of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And we've been doing it so long until we think it's the norm. But, as the scriptures say, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And with that being said, I'm going to close out by giving all praises and glorification to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rikakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us the true knowledge of these scriptures. I want to say Shalom and a harb to all the Aquan and Aquas that are striving and thriving in the same 100% true doctrine. Shalom.